Just wanted to take a few minutes to go through what I think is some really important information regarding press releases. In this unit, you will see all the elements of a press release. You'll learn how to write a press release, and you will learn to write one yourself. But I think kind of looking at a real live, living, breathing press release is important to just kind of unpack some of the things going on here beyond just the heading and the byline and the lead and all these little elements of the press release that you're going to learn about in this unit. So, the point of a press release, obviously, is to get your information into the news. And so, you always want to start with your who, what, when, where, why. And so, that can happen in any form or fashion. This is just kind of the way that I like to think about it. I consider news writing, and there's a whole class on news writing, so we don't have time to kind of divulge into every little bit of it in this course. But news writing, in theory, you should be able, for the most part, again, this is just a rule of thumb, to rearrange these short, succinct paragraphs into any order toward the beginning of your press release and have it make sense. So you could have I started here with the city council has completed its search for the new city manager, who he is and where he's from. That could have been second to what's highlighted here. Through a months-long search facilitated by a search firm, we selected a new person from 50 applicants. And so if you think about it, in news writing, these paragraphs are short and they're sweet. And so these first three paragraphs could be rearranged in any way because they have the most important information: the who, what, when, where, and why. And so you as a writer obviously have some discretion on how that works. For me, his name and what happened was the headline, right? This is our lead. We call this a lead. It's very short. It's very sweet. And if I'm working in a newsroom and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put your press release in my newspaper, or I want to read about your thing on the news whenever I talk on my newscast on the 5 o'clock news tonight, I want to know, very first thing, what's going on. So this right here is short and sweet and to the point. We have a new city manager. Hurrah. There's a quote in here. I will tell you, this is funny. Any of you who go into working in news writing and you're working with lots of different people, you will end up writing a lot of quotes for approval. And so the mayor and I've known her for many years now, and I know how she speaks. And so when I write a press release like I did this one, she called me and said, hey, we hired somebody. Here's his resume, here's his information, here's the plan. Can you get this out to the media? Absolutely. Let me write it up for you. I probably did this in 15 or 20 minutes because I've been practicing for many years. But part of that is her quote. And so her quote was approved by her, but you don't always have to sit and say, how do you feel about this, Mayor Brophy? I can tell you how she feels about it, and I'm going to tell you part of the story that I want you to know through her quote. So it's really important to me here that the mayor says, I know we have selected the best candidate for our community. We went through a long interview process. We looked at top tier finalists. We are proud we made the best decision for Nacogdoches. In here, you'll also see that I talked about how many applications we looked at to hire this person. That tells a story in itself. It's implicit, but it tells a story. Hey, we worked really hard for the community. We looked at tons of really qualified people. There were 50 different people that wanted to come here. And so we picked you the best of the best. And so all of this information is very, very important, and it's in here for a reason. There is no fluff. This is very direct. This quote here comes from his cover letter. And so I just pulled that out and formed it into a quote. You'll see all these quotes are structured like this. It has this first part with a comma. So the first portion of the quote with a comma inside the quotation marks. And then the sentence is completed by this person said. You can see the mayor's quote was formatted in the same way. And then they finish their sentence, however that looks. So maybe two sentences, maybe one sentence. It could be however that works for you in the quote that was given. But this is how all quotes inside of press releases are formatted. And then we talk at the end about, okay, why are we firing a new city manager? Oh, because the old one retired. Great. That's awesome. What will happen in a newsroom is they will cut from the bottom up. So let's say a newspaper has, let's see how many words this is. Let's say they have 150 words. Well, they don't want to have to work to rewrite my press release. They want to get the most important information at the top and they'll cut from the bottom. So they'll see where the end is, and they may go, you know what, we don't need any of that. This is our story right here. That's all we have space for today. We'll get the rest of it later, or we won't get the rest of it later. So you really want to be cognizant of the way, the order in which you put things. A lot of times my process, I like to write it all out, get my bullet points, and then go in and reorder it and think in that way of, if you cut from the bottom, am I cutting out any really important information? And that usually lends itself to having your most important information at the top. So I hope seeing a real, live, living, breathing, real world press release has helped you get some ideas and understand a little bit more about why these are important. Thanks for tuning in.